Anybody else's spider sense tingling?
Hey guys, it's Aaron here, Geeks of the Web, again with Robert, and we're here for a movie review.
We are, wearing the same.
We are.
In the last video.
We are wearing
Shot on
shirt.
different days, though.
Hold on. Now I'm wearing a completely different shirt. You don't just know it. So we're recording as many videos as we can.
Yeah.
So today, guys, we're also here talking about some movie reviews. You know, Robert's done a couple already, but I thought I'd join him on this one because, again, who loves Spider-Man more than anybody else but me?
This guy. So, yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yes.
Full spoiler review. We're going to get into spoilers right
All
away.
spoilers.
So if you haven't seen the movie, thank you for watching the video. But, save it and return to it later once you have seen the movie. But, we're a few weeks after it's come out. So we're just going to talk full spoilers. And obviously, not only for this movie, but for Avengers Endgame as well. Because this plays heavily into that. So hopefully you didn't see this movie without seeing Avengers Endgame, but if you did, you were probably a little bit confused. But we are going to talk spoilers throughout this video, so don't say we didn't warn you.
Exactly. And random comment, you know what? I didn't think I'd met anybody that hadn't seen Endgame and then watched Spider-Man. I called my best friend up the other night, and she hadn't seen Endgame, so she watched Spider-Man, and I was like, so wait, you saw Spider-Man? She was like, yeah, my brother's boyfriend was going to go with me, and we were going to go see another movie, and we just saw Spider-Man, and I was like, what? She's like, yeah. So I didn't care for it too much. I was like, you need to see everything else leading up to it.
Yes.
So I told her, I was like, she was in Dallas. So I was like, I'm going to drive up to Dallas, drop off my DVDs and head home. Or we'll binge watch it all together and then I'll head home. And she's like, really? I was like, you need to watch it. And then we're going to go watch Spider-Man again.
Yeah, for sure.
So definitely watch everything else before you watch Spider-Man.
Yes, but Spider-Man Far From Home, the sequel to Spider-Man Homecoming. Tom Holland reprising his role as Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Obviously, Marissa Tomei is back as Aunt May. We've got, Happy Hogan making his
Kevin
return.
again.
Yep. Not in the movie, Robert Downey Jr.
No,
he's
not physically in it.
Yeah, he has passed away. And obviously, the big new character, Jake Gyllenhaal playing Quentin Beck, Mysterio.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Mysterio.
So his character was fantastic. We're going to get into that. Also, making big appearances in this movie, Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, and then Maria Hill, played by Kobe Smulders.
Yes.
So a lot of fun. This movie, at least for me, Spider-Man Homecoming was my favorite Spider-Man live-action film that had been released. I loved it. I thought it was really great. Tom Holland, I thought was fantastic. And I really, especially in that movie and then Infinity War in particular, his, his acting chops are through the roof. He's so good, and I love him as Peter Parker.
He's very talented. At first, I had some iffies with him because let's face it, Tobey Maguire, nobody likes him. I want to like him.
Part of the problem is he's 30 years old and playing like he's 17.
Yeah, that was a
I don't buy it.
Huge problem. Now, I'll be, I know this opinion may be off because some people like him, some people don't. I liked Andrew Garfield. I thought he did a good job.
I liked him as Spider-Man.
Yes.
I did not like his Peter Parker interpretation. His Peter Parker interpretation was like too cool, not nerdy enough, not like it. To me, it was like, he was like the hipster kind of, I'm a cool guy, and there wasn't much of a difference between his Peter Parker and his Spider-Man. And at least what I'm familiar with, I'm not as big of a Spider-Man fan as you. Peter Parker is much more reserved, much more, kind of nerdy, introverted, and it's not until he puts on the suit that he kind of feels empowered to have all the quips
and that's true.
All the clever stuff going on. And so for me, I liked his version of Spider-Man, but I didn't really like his version of Peter Parker. And don't get me started on The Amazing Spider-Man 2. That movie's terrible.
There was so much hope, but I hated it. I mean,
but they're not here to hear us talk about that.
Yeah, they're here to talk about Far From Home. So kind of like shooting past all that. So Far From Home picks up right where Endgame left off. We've already lost Tony Stark, and now we're seeing what happened after everybody came back.
Let's literally talk about the opening scene, which is the montage of the fallen Avengers that is set to what is it? My Heart Will Go On.
It's like okay.
It's the poorly edited high school video. And it's
some little AV kid in the back was like, I'm so proud of this.
Yeah. So in that little mini movie, they reference Iron Man gone, Captain America gone. They don't really say at least in their mind, he's dead. You know, we know in Endgame he's old and retired. Vision, gone, and then Black Widow. Those are kind of the public Avengers that died in either Infinity War or Endgame. So they're all referenced as being gone. And in that same movie, they referenced the whole five-year gap, the blip, as they're calling it, in universe. And basically, that people came back. Yes. And so you had, brothers and sisters that, hey, I was older than you, and then the snap went and you stayed, and so now you're older than I am because I've come back.
What movie was there? Wasn't there like an 80s movie like that where the brother went away and came back and he was an older too?
I don't know.
Just random reference, I can't think of the movie. But yeah, so like it's interesting to take now because most of these kids be 21 now, or early 20s, because the blip happened. Say you were a senior in high school, you were 18, we should be 23 now, and you're still 18. Now all of your friends are, going out to clubs or in college now, so it's...
So very luckily for Peter Parker, though, his best friend Ned and his love interest MJ and
so
also his antagonist Flash Thompson, none of them, they were all blipped as well, so they're all still the same age. Yeah.
It just happened to be that way.
Hey, 50-50 shot, man.
That is true.
If you look at the odds of that happening, it's certainly within the possibility. But
that is true.
For convenient plot reasons, they are still around. And so it was really interesting. He did have kind of a new rival in this movie.
He did.
That was someone who hadn't blipped away.
Yes.
And so had been like, 11 or 12 at the time of the snap, and now is like 16, 17, and is also competing for MJ's affections.
Yes.
And so, that part of the storyline, not too crazy. But let's get into the meat of the story, which is, Mysterio, Quentin Beck, is arrived on the scene and is battling elementals.
Yep.
He is from another Earth, as he tells Nick Fury, which again, full spoilers, he's not from another Earth, and it's not Nick Fury, which starts to explain why he's maybe taken in, why he doesn't pick up on the fact that this guy is an ex-Stark employee, and that kind of thing. So
because Nick Fury would have known everything. And
I had problems with it in the movie while I was watching it. I was like, why? Like, I know Mysterio's lying.
Yeah.
Why is Nick Fury, why is he being duped by this? So when they revealed that in the second post-credit scene, so again, hopefully you stayed with that. It was not Nick Fury, it was Talos, the Skrull from Captain Marvel, imitating Nick Fury. It made a lot more sense.
It did.
Why he was able to get away with it.
Because he was more gullible. He really was. And Nick Fury is not a gullible person. And, and he had almost a couple comedic moments. And really, Nick Fury hasn't had... I mean, he's had a couple, but... To me, it was like a couple throughout his 10 years.
Yeah.
And this was like a couple in one movie. It's like, wait a minute, Nick Fury's not this funny.
It felt just slightly off.
Which was good, though. Once you watched it all.
Once the reveal came about, it was like, that made so much sense.
It really did. And I enjoyed it because there were so many little nods to so many little things. You have, as we said, Quentin Beck is lying. But he makes a comment that he's from Earth, or no, that we are Earth 616, which is the Earth in the comic books that we're on is 616. Exactly. So that was a nice reference. They do mention, if you watch it and listen to the details, after they see the water elemental, Flash Thompson's walking and talks about a man who had become imbued with water powers, throwing a nod. I can't talk today, guys. Throwing a nod though to Hydro Man, which is a Spider-Man villain. So it was cool. You caught these little quirks here and there of like, ooh, that was from the comics, or this is from the comics. So as a comic book fan, I loved it because you got all these little things that would add up, and it's like, this is fun to hear, like, in the middle of the movie, 616, I got that one. I almost felt like Captain America sitting in the first Avengers. I understood that one.
Right, I understood that reference.
Yeah.
So he's here, and basically his whole plan is to imitate, Avengers-level type destruction and pretend to be the hero that fights it off so that he can be... a public-facing Avengers-type hero, and one of the things he needs in order to pull this off is these glasses that have been given by Tony Stark to Peter Parker, codenamed Edith, even dead, I'm the hero.
Yep.
So Tony Stark.
It really is.
And so these are glasses that basically control everything.
It is.
So Peter Parker is given these glasses. He's struggling with the weight of not only, who he is and the loss of Tony Stark, but who the world is expecting him to be.
Exactly.
Are you the next Iron Man? That's literally a question that's asked of him in the movie. Are you going to be the next Iron Man? And he's struggling with, I just want to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I just want to go on a date with my girl. I want to hang out with my friends. He's struggling with all of that. And so Mysterio takes advantage of that vulnerability of, he doesn't really want this mantle that has been given to him, and basically, uses the illusions and, the relationships that he's developed with fake Nick Fury to trick Peter Parker into giving him the glasses.
And it was easy to take advantage because it's candy from a baby, essentially, because Mysterio is an older man. He's probably in his 30s. He's been around for a while.
And he's the new mentor. I mean, if you look at it from Peter's perspective, he's lost Uncle Ben, which they never reference in the MCU directly.
Except, the suitcase was in it, though.
Correct.
Which was cool.
With the initials, and so, he's lost him, we know that. Now he's lost Tony, who he kind of viewed as, the surrogate father figure, stand-in, if you will. So now he's looking for someone else that can be that mentor for him.
Exactly.
And, Quentin Beck, Jake Gyllenhaal, steps into that role.
He does.
And, does it very well. And kind of, there's a moment where he's, telling Peter, what he needs to do to, be with MJ.
Yes.
There's a moment where after, they have the battle and he's kind of telling him, hey, you did a great job. You did this, you did this stuff. He's really, he's there for Peter.
He's selling it. Let's face it.
And, it's basically, it comes down to the fact that Peter's going, I don't want this responsibility. I can't give it to someone that Iron Man knew. I can't give it to Nick Fury because if Tony Stark wanted Nick Fury to have it, he would have given it to Nick Fury.
Exactly.
So I can't give it to him. I can't give it to, Happy Hogan or any of these other people. He's saying, I have to give it to someone that I think deserves it. And so, in his mind, that's Mysterio.
Yeah, and that was his interpretation. I mean, let's face it, after someone dies, everything's up to interpretation that they leave behind.
Yep.
When, as the movie goes on, you really realize Tony meant Spidey to pick up the mantle of an Iron Man kind of character. Not passing the torch to somebody else and, going that route. And it's so interesting because, like he said, Mysterio plays on the fact he's a little kid. He plays on all of that perfectly, and with the technology he has to create these illusions and then hide the fact that none of it's real, but still able to destroy stuff. Because that's what got me for a second, because it's like, these illusions don't destroy.
The weapons on the drones
exactly
that are creating the illusions, which... By the way, great callback to Captain America Civil War, which is the technology that Tony uses to kind of replay that final conversation with his parents before their car crash.
Yes.
And so, you kind of reference that, and it's revealed that Quentin Beck created that technology. Now, once again, he's a liar. So did he really create that technology? We don't really know. But certainly, the people that he's talking to that are his followers believe he did. And not to mention, one other character that came back was not expected. From the very first Iron Man movie, you all remember that moment where, Tony Stark built this in a cave with scraps. You could... Well, I'm not Tony Stark.
Yeah,
that scientist, Peter Billingsley, by the way, the kid from A Christmas Story. That's who that is. He's back in this movie assisting Quentin Beck. I will say, that is the one aspect of this movie I didn't like. I really loved this movie. That is the one aspect, is that now this is 2 Spider-Man movies in a row where the villain has basically been created by Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And I understand for narrative purposes why they're doing that. Robert Downey Jr., the biggest star of the MCU. Certainly Iron Man is this looming presence over everything that's happened in the MCU. But for me, it's kind of like, okay, Vulture was created basically by Iron Man and the Avengers. Now, Mysterio is basically created, again, directly by Tony Stark. And it just, for me, I was like, I was hoping they would get away from that. So I certainly think moving forward, they will get away from that. But that is the one aspect that was disappointing to me. Is that I don't like that we're now having a second Spider-Man villain that is created by Iron Man.
And I agree, because the fact is... It's not Spider-Man's villain anymore. It's still Iron Man and Spider-Man kind of like picking up the trash at this point.
Yeah.
And essentially, I get it. Like he said, Iron Man has been the looming force over the entire MCU for 10 years now. And the fact is, he is going to have made mistakes. He's going to have these villains that people need to fight. And right now, Peter being the apprentice, it only makes sense for him to have the villains to fight now. Yeah. The only thing I do like is we do have Shocker and Scorpion, who were introduced not really Iron Man related. So we actually now have essentially -1, because supposedly he's dead. but we had 4 villains already because Mysterio died essentially, as far as we know. But he's the master of illusions. So no telling if he really did die. Maybe he lived.
And,
we don't know.
You know, technically they also introduced the Prowler.
The Prowler, yes.
Not in costume.
Right.
But they did introduce him in Spider-Man Homecoming, which is obviously a prelude to Miles Morales coming sometime. But, you know, again, that's not this movie. So this movie, you know, fast forward through all that stuff. Yeah. Now you've got the final battle where Peter... well, before we get to that, so... After he gives up the glasses, Peter and MJ kind of together realize that this is all an illusion. They come across the broken camera piece from a drone, and you know it starts to play some backwards footage of one of the battles, and so they realize they've been duped. Right? Peter realizes he's been duped, and so he now wants to go confront Mysterio. So he calls Nick Fury.